Welcome to What's Your Story? I'm Charley, Timmins, your host, and every week I bring you guests who are authentic and genuine, with insights and practical information that you can put to work in your business or your personal life right away. And today is no different. Today my guest is Andreas Graesser, founder and CEO of Innovad LLC, an IT services and consulting firm, and author of this book called Run IT, Dominating Information Technology. What a wonderful idea, to dominate information technology. Andreas has worked for more than 27 years within the software industry, 21 of which were with SAP within their Americas headquarters in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Charley.
I'm
thanks.
honored to have you here, man.
Thanks a lot.
You've been through a lot.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to throw you a curveball right off the bat.
All right.
This book addresses two major challenges in business today. What are they?
Yeah, basically, on a very high level, it addresses on the one hand side, the vision for IT. So first, how to set up everything, and then the roadmap to a solution at the end.
Okay. So the questions we're going to deal with today will flesh that out.
All right.
All right. So why don't we talk about what moved you to enter this executive role at SAP?
I mean, after 21 years, I thought there is a time to make a break, so to speak. At that time, I founded Innovad. That's my own firm. I experimented many months, doing consulting, doing other engagements. I was not 100% clear, where to go exactly. So then at one point I thought about, okay, I experienced so much, situations in my business life. Why not writing a book? So, and this is what I started in 2017, paused for many months, and re-engaged with the writing in September 2018 and finished it by the end of last year. So that was really quite a journey.
One of the things I like about the book is you span everything from architecting and implementing, and it's a process, all the way through to running it once it's up and running. So
yeah.
It's pretty all-encompassing. So why did you do this? What motivated you to do this?
That's a very good question. On the one hand side, I wanted to leave best practices. Since very often during my career, I got called into situations that were already difficult and broken, with software implementations. And I was tasked to fix those kind of situations. So I wanted to leave, let's say, best practice, how to prevent those kind of situations. I want to leave basically my wisdom to the consultants, to the program managers, and also particular to the business leaders. So this was more or less the main motivation to write this book.
You were boots on the ground. You made these things happen, right?
Yes.
So the audience should stay tuned to the end, because Andreas is going to make an offer about the book that you should find very interesting. So who's the target audience for this book?
I think in my mind, the business leaders, they are the main...
The C-level people.
On the C-level, so the decision makers, even the CEOs of companies.
Really?
They need better to understand how software implementation works. Usually, how does it, often it works the way, okay, the company sees the need to get new software into play, and business leaders are basically tasked to run the show. In fact, they have no idea what show this is. You know, so from that point, business leaders, they need to have the vocabulary, you know, all the buzzwords, but they need also to get a clear understanding of the business process and how software in particular works. And this is no difference if it's on-premise, like the old way, where you have your own data center, or it's running in the cloud. You know, so the implementation challenge is still the same, and business leaders, they need to know. Of course, I have also, when I wrote the book, I had also the, you know, my old colleagues and, you know, all the IT managers in mind, the program managers, where I often saw, let's say, deficiencies in terms of how to manage large digital transformation projects. So those are the main areas, this is the main audience where I thought the book would be helpful.
What I noticed about it is it's easy to read, and it's almost like a roadmap of best practices that executives need to know as these programs are implemented throughout their organizations.
Yeah, that's true. So I tried to really keep it as simple as possible. So I added many graphics and pictures into the book to visualize, you know, what I meant to say.
So what makes it different than other books that may be out there on the shelves?
I mean, the main difference, in my view, is there are no other books for these subjects, you know. So I did my research, and in my opinion today, I think there is no other book that really describes more or less the 5 pitfalls of software implementation that I identified in the book.
You mentioned a term called communicating to both sides. Could you elaborate on that?
I mean, the communication to both sides, we need to, you know, go back a little bit.
All right.
So I mean, both sides. Let's first define what both sides are. You know, on the one hand side, you have the business leaders, what I described as a primary audience for the book. On the other side, you have the IT managers and IT leaders. And when I joined in, when was it, 1996, SAP, you know, the first things what my boss tried to explain to me and to my team is, okay, there was always the business people and the IT people. And they don't understand each other. In fact, they sometimes even couldn't communicate with each other. So therefore, so I called it in my book, I guess I put a good chapter in, and on my first slide, I would say it shows more or less a great divide. So on the one hand side, the business leaders, and on the other side, what I call the IT kingdom. You know, what this, and of course everybody knows, it's the Chinese wall here, but you know, you see it, the IT kingdom, the leaders, the kings, how I describe it in the book, they try to protect, you know, their, whatever, you know, their area. So they want to protect their kingdom, so to speak, against enemies. So in this picture, it shows nicely, you know, the outside, the business leaders are often considered and perceived as enemies because they come with demands. They want to have new functionality. They want to have really, you know, innovation immediately. And of course, the IT kings, they cannot do this because they're not prepared. You know, software is not something you can change very fast and make it available to everybody in a matter of minutes or in a matter of days or even sometimes in a matter of months. Sometimes it takes years, and so they are very protective. There was one saying I remember, never change a running system. So this is more or less the paradigm. You know, so this means you have a request, you know, from the business side.
I'm on the business side.
You are on the business side. You want to have a change and say, no, this doesn't work this way. First, you have to describe it. You have to follow the process, and then maybe 4 months later, we are in an agreement. But what I wanted to say with this picture of the Great Divide is to visualize, okay, there are two parties, the business leaders and the IT managers, and they did not change over all those years. They're still not communicating.
So what's the theme of the book? The main theme?
The main theme of the book is the 5 pitfalls of software implementations. So I went through I did my own studies, so to speak, and I identified more than 100 projects, software implementation projects I was personally involved with, and many I was really involved to the detail. So I identified 5 pitfalls of software implementation. And on the second slide, please, on the second slide, we can visualize, we can see, the 5 pitfalls. So I give you a few examples. Basically, I only want to focus on 1 or 2. So the number 1 pitfall that I identified is the underestimation of system performance. So what does this mean, for you? Let's assume you want to bid on an item, on a book, on a thing on eBay. Okay, so this is an auction software. So at the end of the day, of course you wait until the clock, the bid clock is nearly done, and then you hit send. And then suddenly your screen does, the wheel spins, and you see, okay, 20 seconds left, 30 seconds left. So somehow this situation is an effect of a performance problem. Correct. And during software implementations, very often customers implemented their wishes, but then the implementer or the partner or themselves, they could not really test the software so that there is no spinning of the clock.
We need to take a quick break. We need to hear from our sponsors. We're going to be right back because I'm going to start the second section of our talk about that second pitfall. We'll be back in a moment. Look forward to hearing from you.
And everything in between.
Look in the window.
Now that's New Jersey.
Burlington County College.
Is now Rowan College of Burlington County.
Still the same great faculty.
At a community college ranked top 50 in the nation.
Basically, we earn more and pay less.
RCBC students are accepted at Rowan University after graduation.
And get a bachelor's degree for around $30,000.
Online and Mount Laurel students get a 15% Rowan University tuition discount.
And have many scholarship opportunities.
So you earn more and pay even less.
Rowan College of Burlington County.
Your path to success.
They are the greatest fighting force the world has ever seen. But what does it take to strengthen our service members? What does it take to let them know that we stand behind them, wherever they are? What does it take to bridge the distance and keep them connected to family, home, and country? And what does it take to prepare them for their future when their service to the nation is complete? What does...
Welcome back to What's Your Story? My guest today is Andreas Graesser. He's recently written a book to help IT professionals and business leaders transform their organization with the least amount of difficulty. Before break, you were talking about the pitfalls. There are 5 of them. You were focusing on one. Let's focus on the second one, if you don't mind.
Sure. The second pitfall I identified is around a soft topic. So it's around weak governance and steering committees. So this really goes a little bit more on the soft side. So this is not something we can measure like a performance problem. So, but what do I mean with this? I mean, Very often that I saw on companies is, okay, there was always an oversight committee, watching a large software implementation, so considering, you have 10, 20, 40 million dollars projects running.
A lot of money.
So it's a lot of money, but somehow people, they just got appointed to it, and what I saw in my experience is that many people, many leaders, they had not really the understanding of IT.
Can you give us an example of a situation in which you found yourself where these pitfalls were very evident?
I mean, I have one situation in mind that was with regards on a large bank in Canada. So where some of those pitfalls that I described in the book, they all came together. So on the one hand side, the program was running already, so the implementation program was running already for 4 years. So they pushed the button at one point that they want to use the software, and it really happened what I described earlier with this eBay example. The program, the machines, they used all the CPU power but could not produce a result. So that was a heavy performance problem in this context. So this was one area. Yeah, and this, for example, the bank had great vision. So they wanted to transform more or less, the account origination. So if you, Charlie, you want to apply for a loan, so in the old days, more or less, you had to bring in all the paper and then you have to fill out 20,000 forms. So they want to do all electronically. So the idea is great. So the loan officer would have come to your home, not you have to go to the branch office of the bank. But at the end of the day, if the software spins and if the performance spins and spins, it doesn't help. So that was.
I'm going to log off and go to another bank.
Exactly, you would go, and this is what many people do in these days. So that was one. So the underestimation of performance heavily dominant in this area. The second area is the governance committee. So they watched over 4 years more or less every week the status progress of the program, and in fact it did not progress at all. So from that point nobody on this steering committee was willing or powerful or knowledgeable enough to pull the plug and say, okay, we stop this thing. And the other pitfalls that I describe in the book came also to play in this situation where the business, they saw the software, then they demanded a change. So the programmers, they changed it. So that was an endless cycle, a vicious cycle basically of development, because there was no freeze and no end state in place.
So in the book, you spend time talking about digital strategies. Can you take a few moments and elaborate on that?
I mean, the digital strategies I added to the book because I thought so the readers, they would also better understand what is really a digital strategy, since it's a buzzword. So what does it mean? Right, yeah. I make you an example, and I show you on the next slide. I worked with Apple for many years. So what they always were great in is their supply chain. So former years, in the early stage of Steve Jobs, he was, there was of course Steve as the visionary, but Tim was the supply chain genius, so to speak. So how would it work? So on the slide I show an iPhone. Did you ever pre-order an iPhone?
No, I haven't, but My wife has.
Yeah, very good. So, so in the Apple situation, from the pre-order of the iPhone, it goes into their back-end system. But it sends then more or less the manufacturing order over to China, where all the iPhones are manufactured. All the QA, all the quality assignments are logged in the system, and Apple at any time had full visibility of the item. So you ordered it. It will be manufactured in China, and it will not be sent then after manufacturing back to Cupertino. It will be sent directly to you. So, so all the information, shipping information, your credit card, the payments, the cost, all that information is stored in Apple's back-end system. And this is what I would call a digital supply chain to its full extent.
One of the things I'm curious about is, are there companies out there that exemplify the best practices that you talk about in the book?
I mean, there are companies, and I have to say, and I'm sure there are many companies, so this is a very good question. The only problem I have is at this moment is, I was always called into bad situations.
Oh, all right.
So I only saw the bad side of implementation. So there are many, many implementations. They are running well, and they are, doing great, I would say.
So when I read the book, the thing that came across to me is you're like an early warning system to a company to say, hey, you need to be proactive, you need to get out ahead of this to minimize problems. Am I right with that?
That's correct. So I added not only the 5 pitfalls, I added a KPI framework, how to detect the different, let's say, status of the implementation. So to prevent and to circumvent, the problems.
That saves money.
This saves, but that's bottom line. It saves money.
Right.
But I can tell you, based on my experience, it also saves, all involved people much headache and, much stress.
Well,
Since, in the situations I got called into those kind of, off-track implementations, let's not walk in the park.
So these projects start with a big idea. They have to end up with an operational reality, and you're expert at making those things happen. And that's what's in the book, the how-to of that.
Exactly. So if you would follow, or if an implementation leader, and if a business leader would follow the advices in the book, I'm sure they will stay on time and on budget, and as such, they would save millions of dollars. Since usually, if something goes off, this money, what you need in addition, is never budgeted.
That's
so it always causes a huge problem.
You're excited.
Yes.
So, but the show needs to end.
Oh.
We're at the end. But at the end of my show, I invite you to speak to the audience and share more information or any offers you may have for them.
Yeah. So I'm looking from anybody who reads the book, and the book is available on hardcover, all ebook versions, different readers. I would be interested in feedback from the experts. Is it right what I write in the book or what I wrote in the book and identified based on my own experience? And from the non-experts in terms of, okay, what learnings can you pull out? So on my slide 4, I have a 20% discount on springer.com, where you can use to order the book online at the Springer site. Of course, you get it at Amazon and all the others as well. So this is something that I would like to get from you back, so feedback, and also maybe some speaking opportunities. So if you're interested, your company or your IT department or your business department who is involved with software implementations should be interested or should learn about how to prevent it, give me a call. You reach me on email, you reach me on phone, so I just put it on my slide.
So people have pens out right now, so would you share with them your email address as well as your phone number?
Yeah, so the email address is ag@innovad.io. So this is my email address, and phone is 610-457-1964.
Could you do the phone again?
The phone again, 610-457-1964.
Okay. And I've known this man for a while, and what he's done with this particular book is going to work miracles for companies trying to make a big project, a big idea, a functional reality inside their company. So I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks,
I
Charley.
want to congratulate you on your book.
Thank you.
And I want to tell the audience that we'll be back here next week with another guest who's authentic and genuine, who's going to offer you some insights and practical information that you could put to use right away in your day. So until then, be well. Thank you.
Thank you.